Are you more
Yes.
comfortable doing a character?
You will see me at, right. So the lessons start.
Right.
One thing that I teach, or I don't like to say I teach, I help people with, or I used to especially, was with promos. And you wouldn't think, listening to me the way I am now, it is a very, very awkward thing for me to do. This is like, this is very awkward for me to do, to just sit and be me and talk. When the red light goes on, I turn into whatever really William Regal needs to be, or whatever I've portrayed over the years. Um, but one of the things I do teach or tell people is to learn real body language. And because a lot of people don't know that, and they do what I call wrestler things. There's a lot of wrestler sayings I tell people to avoid. Let me tell you something. You see, you know, all these things, they're just wasted seconds. If you've got a 30-second promo or a minute promo, and you see, you say you see, or let me tell you something, or you know, a couple of times in that, you've eaten 15 seconds of your promo where you could be getting your own point across, or putting your opponent over. And also body language, knowing how to, what you're seeing now is me, and I'm a bit awkward doing this as myself. But you see people doing unnatural things when they're trying to look a certain way. So there's ways, I'm sure there's stuff on YouTube, there'll be stuff everywhere, there's courses. Learn real body language. I learned a lot of my real things where I can turn into whatever I need to, mostly not in wrestling. Watching the wrestler, we've talked about this before, but I watched the world, but also working in nightclubs when I was a teenager and working doing security and stuff. And you've got to read crowds very quickly, or you learn to know that when people are, this is the common wrestler thing, is when people rub their hands together and they go, I'm going to do this to you. I know you're not going to do anything to me in real life
Right.
because you're already nervous. If you touch your hands, or that is a sign of it's apprehension, it's nerves. You're not going to do anything, and that's what people do. I learned to do to slowly, and again, there's a, I don't want to say watch me, but if you watch any of my early WCW stuff, you're going to see me trying to figure out how to get my character across on TV. And one of the tricks, because I knew that this rubbing your hands together thing, or doing too much with your hands, is, unless it's the right thing at the right time, I knew that I had to make sure I didn't do that. And it's really awkward to know what to do with your hands. Well, with my character as Lord Stephen, and I just copied a lot of things, but one of the things that British nobility do, they always put one hand behind the back. So it got rid of one hand. So then the other hand can be gesturing, but it's not doing things when I'm rubbing them together. And it's little tricks like that that you pick up over time. Well, you're seeing me now as myself if you're watching this or listening to me, and I'm not the most comfortable doing that. I'm a bit awkward about that. As soon as I have to be whatever I am, and I think we've talked about this before, William Regal, or whatever I'm playing, Lord Stephen Regal, stays at Atlanta Airport. And for me to get to the arena in Atlanta, or any place that I used to wrestle in Atlanta, I used to have to go past the airport. When I leave that airport, then it's Darren. And Darren isn't that whatever I have to be. I leave it there. Now, if I'm in a situation where there's any people there and I know I can read a room and I just carry myself, that's one thing. But when I'm just sat talking to somebody or having a conversation, I'm very quiet and I listen most of the time. I have a lot of things that we'll end up discussing. Things will come up, but you'll notice this is very, very, I'm sometimes mumble a bit and stumble a bit over my words. Some of that's down to my lip not being having full usage of my lip because there's nerve damage in it. Other times it's just me not having the greatest of vocabulary because I'm not overeducated. And I've managed to get through this entire time, people thinking I'm all kinds of educated. I'm educated in many, many things, but not as book smart as a lot of people would think I was, or think I am. And I managed to get through that. So yes, it is a little awkward.
I think the fascinating thing about you, and you remind me of a great teacher in my life. I have a great music teacher who has a lot of credibility the way you do, and he comes alive when he teaches. He
Yes.
gets really excited. He starts talking. I'm kind of the same way too. Uh, where when you're teaching, that seems like your comfort zone,